Hello, everyone. I think this statement by Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov basically summarizes what a lot of us have been saying this entire time while US was trying to play at diplomacy. They're not interested. They never were interested. I think the only word that doesn't belong in this sentence is anymore. I don't think they ever wanted a ceasefire. Which begs the question, why so much time and money and effort is being spent to trying to achieve this? Considering one of the parties directly involved is just not interested. Russia insists that their root causes for their invasion of Ukraine, mainly Ukraine wanting to do what any normal independent country wants to do, like determine its own political and economic future. And that's not okay with Russia. And yeah, they're just not gonna. So I think basically the rest of the world needs to sit down and base everything they do with respect to Russia on that premise. For the 50th time, Russia doesn't want to negotiate peace. They want to negotiate Ukraine's full surrender, a capitulation. That's the only thing they're interested in. They're not interested in ceasefires. They're not interested in stopping. They're not interested in compromising. No. They want Ukraine all to themselves. That has been the case since forever. So stop pretending like any kind of negotiations, any kind of reason, any kind of diplomacy is possible here. I mean, thank goodness they managed to at least negotiate a series of prisoner swaps. As somebody with a family member currently in Russian custody as a POW, I support and grieve for the families, who were wondering, just like my family is wondering, where the hell is our soldier? Is he alive? Is he okay? Is he being tortured? So the fact that they were able to bring 1,000 people back in this latest swap is fantastic. So that's something. But the thing is, you know why the prisoner swaps are not a big deal for Russia? They just put them right back in. Getting their prisoners back means, an infusion of a few hundred here and there back into the slaughter. That's why they agreed to these. Again, it's nothing to do with caring about people. It's nothing to do about caring about safety of their own citizens. No. It's just like, okay, we got them back. Let's put them back into fighting. Here's the frustrating thing. So now we have Secretary of State Marco Rubio admit that, yes, war crimes have been committed by Russia. Now, he stops short of saying that Putin is one of the culprits. He does admit that Russia invaded Ukraine. Okay. But when asked about the war crimes and whether he considered Putin to be a war criminal, he said, war crimes have been committed, no doubt, and who is responsible for that? There will be a time and place for that accountability, but right now the job is to end the war. I think you got it backwards, Marco. I think once you identify, who is accountable, against whom to direct the effort to end the war. I think that's kind of how it should work. And since you already know who is doing this, you should act accordingly. G7 finance chiefs threaten further sanctions on Russia. Okay, this is frustrating. Not that they threaten further sanctions on Russia, but why do they even have to threaten? Just put them in. Fairly early in the war, I think the first 6 or 9 months, I was saying the same thing over and over. I don't understand why they have to keep voting to extend the sanctions. Why are you wasting your time on that? Or why are you wasting your time on warnings, threats? Russia doesn't give a shit. So, just put in the sanctions and make it clear, we're putting this shit in indefinitely until Russia withdraws from Ukraine's territory. If it never withdraws, the sanctions never go away. Period. There are terrorist states in this world against which the sanctions have been around for decades. Hello, Iran. Remember that? Yeah. And remember what happened when sanctions started being lifted? Yeah, that too. So, why do you even bother? Put them in and say, date, expiration date, none. When the war ends, we'll talk about this. But stop wasting your time, your administrative time, your capacity on issuing warnings and voting on what is already in place. Just keep ratcheting it up. The second statement is upsetting, obviously, and I'm not sure what the motivation is there. So, Valery Zaluzhny, whom I have tremendous respect for, and I preferred him as the commander of Ukrainian armed forces, but he said basically Ukraine should abandon any illusions of getting its land back. I don't know why he would say such a thing. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying that we don't know yet. I really don't. I believe that we can't make absolute statements at this point. It's possible Zaluzhny is just pissed off because he was fired and replaced with someone else. On the other hand, he is a highly intelligent and respectful and experienced military leader, so I am kind of just wondering about what is going on about this. So, there is a NATO base being built in Lithuania, and again, that is a sign of the times. The Baltic states have been saying all along, we don't feel safe anymore, along with Finland and Poland and Romania. So I think, that's a good thing. Obviously, Russia is going to immediately declare this an act of aggression, not acknowledging that that is a direct consequence of Russia's aggression towards its neighbors. And there continues to be an economic turmoil within the EU as they're trying, on one hand, to support Ukraine, and on the other hand, not to let down their own local manufacturers, especially farmers, etc. And I can understand that this is, again, another global effect of this war. The US doesn't fully comprehend this because the conflict is not as close and personal for them. But with the EU, they're right there. They're dealing with most of the economic effects and, of course, the humanitarian effects of this. I want to finish with this article. This is really good. It's in the posts from Kyiv Independent today. So, we mentioned in the past the drone forays by Ukraine around Moscow airports. So why is this working? Because mostly Russia says we have shot them all down. Yes, true. However, let's consider what's going on here. Ukraine is sending the cheap, small kamikaze drones or fake drones there. They don't even intend to hit anything. They know they will get shot down. However, here is the thing, and this would probably be the case in the United States or any other major airport. If you have some kind of shit flying through the air, guess what? You have to shut down your airports. And Ukraine has confirmed this. They're right in saying Moscow is the biggest aviation hub in the Russian Federation. And if they can keep it shut down for hours or days and cause that disruption, that is an achievement. That's passengers on the ground, that's frustration, that's airplanes on the ground, that's chaos with cargo shipments and postal service. So pop over, read this article, lots of good material there, lots of detail. More to come.